I'll need that later. Can nothing good happen? Whenever my watch buzzes, and I can always tell when it's a New York Times update, but whenever my watch buzzes and I go to look at a headline, it's my immediate response. Can nothing good happen? Gun violence, with the shootings in our schools, can nothing good happen? With Israel and Gaza, can nothing good happen? With natural disasters, can nothing good happen? I'm going to be honest with you, it's not a very rabbinic response, but it is absolutely my response and absolutely my human immediate response, which is, oh my goodness, enough already. Can nothing good happen? And it was my immediate response on Saturday when my watch buzzed and I learned of the assassination attempt on former President Trump. A man who was 20 years old. He can't even legally drink in this country. Took it upon himself to be on top of a building, to look out at a sea of people, and decided to rain down violence, decided to cause suffering, decided to cause pain, decided to rain down curses. What do you make of that? What do we make of that? How do we comprehend that? How do we not become numb to that as a way to protect ourselves, which I totally understand, right? How do we see that and say, and don't say, just another day in America, we'll push it aside? What do we do with that? Thousands and thousands of years ago, according to our Torah, another man stood up high, looked out at a sea of people, was supposed to curse them, and instead rained down blessing. The story in this week's Torah portion is totally weird and feels kind of magical. But what happens is a non-Israelite king named Balak was really afraid of the Israelites. They were too powerful, they seemed too good, and wanted them destroyed. And so he goes to a prophet that he knows, Balaam, and says, Balaam, I'm going to take you to the top of this mountain. Please go and curse the Israelites. Curse them. On the way to the mountain, Balaam kind of runs into God a few times, once through a donkey. And by the time that Balaam gets to the top of the mountain, it says that Balaam, for the first time, didn't go to try to see any signs and portents, didn't try to go and find some omens, but instead turned towards the wilderness and opened up his mouth. And what he said was, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob. How wonderful are your dwelling places, Israel. What came out was a blessing. How did that happen? How is it that Balaam, who was sent to curse, ended up changing it into a blessing? And how can we change the curses of our world into blessing? An answer, I don't know if it's the answer, an answer comes from that introductory phrase that happens right before Balaam gives that blessing. It says that this was the first time Balaam did not go out to look for omens, did not go out to look for signs and portents. It's the first time Balaam didn't go out and say, okay, that's pretty bad, but like, where's the good stuff? Like, can I find all the good things in the world? Like, where's the beauty? Show me that I'm going to be right. Show me that it's going to be okay. Balaam didn't do that. It says Balaam did not go looking for the signs and portents, but instead turned towards the wilderness. Balaam turned towards the mess, turned towards the sticky, turned towards the ugly, and dove in, right? Said that wilderness, that messy area, that's the place where I'm going to direct my life. That's the place where I'm going to direct my words. We too need to dive into the wilderness. We kind of need to dive into the curses when we so badly want to look for the good and the signs and portents that are away from it. And so, if Saturday was hard for you because of the ease towards gun violence, because of the ease towards accessibility to guns, because of the prevalence of shootings in our country, then perhaps this is the time that you dive into that wilderness. Perhaps this is the time that we dive into our own wilderness and say, actually, I could get involved. I could find a local chapter of Moms Demand Action. I could find a local chapter of Every Town for Gun Safety. I could do something and meet new people and be part of a new organization and see what I can do to change this world. if what really freaked you out, if the curse of Saturday for you was not gun violence, but rather was this political violence, this polarization that is everywhere in our country and our world, then perhaps it's time you dive into that wilderness. How lucky we have an expert in depolarization here at Washington Hebrew. Talk to Rabbi Rachel. She doesn't know that I've told you to do this tonight. I spent all day with her and somehow it didn't come up. Find Rabbi Schmelkin, who is really well-versed in depolarization, and ask how you can learn about it, how you can learn how to talk to people who are different from you and figure out how to form connections, or perhaps get into local politics, right? Why not you? Why not you who can dive into the wilderness and see how the world can be different? If neither of those speak to you, we know that the curses of our world begin with the curses in our own home. Begin with the curses, the wilderness, the messy of ourselves, our family, our friends, our loved ones. What would it be like? What would our world be like if when someone we love was struggling, they were angry, they were sad, they were lonely, we didn't turn away and say, I'm going to look elsewhere for some good. And rather, we dove into their wilderness. We said, I'm here for you. I will be here for you. I will listen to you. I love you. Your wilderness doesn't scare me. How many different choices would people make if they had one person in their life who did that? How can we dive into the wilderness in order to wrestle these curses for a blessing? What's wild, well, there's a lot that's wild about Judaism. I dedicated my life to it. I think it's awesome. But these words, Ma Tovu Ohale Yaakov, they don't just live in our Torah, they become part of our morning liturgy. These words that were spoken by a non-Israelite prophet who was supposed to curse the Israelites, but then it turned into a blessing. That's what our ancestors said. You know that line from the Torah? That's what we're going to say every day in our morning service if you pray every day. We're going to say those words. I believe as a reminder to us that we can do that work too. Just as Balaam changed a curse into a blessing, we too can use those words and can change a curse into a blessing. We can dive into the wilderness and figure out how to make the world more full of blessing. We can look out on a world that is fraught with challenge, a world where political leaders disappoint and their constituencies don't seem to be much better, a world that is getting more and more violent. We can look out at that world and dive into the wilderness and say, do you see right there? Do you see that mess? That's what we can change to turn this into a blessing. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, how beautiful are your tents, O Jacob, when we hold hands and lift up that tent together. Shabbat shalom. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, ani berov chastecha avo beitecha eshtave el heichal kodeshecha v'yiratecha eshtave el heichal kodeshecha